Last but very much not least, I would like to introduce you to Katherine Pace from Elanation. Now, about 18 months ago, I got contacted through LinkedIn by Katherine's co-founder, Amy. They had, I don't know, they kind of just found me, I think because my profile had IoT in it. And they invited me out for coffee, and I listened to their pitch, and about 10 minutes in, I said, I'm in. I didn't know what it was I was actually in for, but I've been an active kind of participant on the sidelines ever since. And Katherine was here last year on this very stage, and she pitched in that competition that we've just seen, and she won. And now they're here to tell us about what the last year has been like for Elanation. So please welcome to the stage, Katherine Pace.
It's quite surreal standing up here. I couldn't believe when Aidan called me and asked if I would like to come back and give some potential words of wisdom to the startups that were pitching this time around, because I couldn't believe it had already been a year. But in saying that, I looked back at my slide deck and was mortified at what it looked like and realised how far we'd actually come in 12 months, which was really exciting. So I'm very happy to be here, and it's a lovely opportunity to also take a moment and reflect, which is traditionally really doesn't happen very often for most startups. So thank you for the opportunity. My name is Katherine, and I'm the proud co-founder and CEO at Elanation. We are a lifestyle technology company dedicated to kids between the ages of 5 and 12. Elanation unites kids, content and utility like never seen before. Why do we do that? Well, our purpose is because for as long as we continue to hand kids derivatives of technology that were inherently designed for the adult brain, we're going to constantly see negative impacts on both the physical and mental development of the next generation of human beings. So we pulled together a team of ex-EA game developers, psychologists, scientists, accountants and lawyers to start building a modern-day toy company, if you will, that genuinely designs technology that is built off the natural play patterns of children. Our first piece of the puzzle was a mobile app that on the surface, has video content, virtual worlds, and all the social capabilities that a child loves. But the kicker is that it's all driven via real-world energy that's accrued through physical activity. And our first IoT integration is our eTurbo wearable. So the wearable is the highest quality, most affordable wearable with a heart rate on the market globally for kids. Plus, it connects to a cyber-safe, super fun, cool community just for kids. 12 months ago, I was standing on this stage. We just raised our seed capital off the back of an MVP and about a couple of years of research. And then within about 3 months, we'd launched into the Australian market. Little did I know that I would be spending nights sleeping on the floor of our developer's office to make sure that we got our app out in time for Christmas. Soon after that, we'd actually been ranked in the top 10 apps for kids between the ages of 9 and 12 on the Apple Store. Since then, we've made eTurbo sales across every state of Australia and New Zealand. After that, we signed a retail contract deal with Rebel Sport, where our eTurbo is now sold in 15 stores across New South Wales, Victoria and Queensland. And I'm very excited to announce that we're now rolling out nationally 2 months ahead of schedule because of the amount of positive confirmation they've had from customers coming back into Rebel stores and asking for more. On the back of that, we've also spent time in the United States. We've now partnered with Amazon.com to launch pre-orders in the United States, so kids in America will be able to healthily play against kids in Australia. And I've just come back from TechCrunch, where we won the wild card, which was People's Choice and the Editor's Choice at TechCrunch Disrupt in San Francisco. So a couple of star points of wisdom, I guess, that I'm trying to translate to any startups in the room who are at my stage 12 months ago. One of our biggest points in the IoT industry is about that focus on you're building a business and not just a product. So my background is as an industrial designer with a couple of years in mechanical engineering. And I know what it's like to get really infatuated over the design, both the internals and externals of a piece of hardware, or the UX or UI of your interconnected app. But it's really important that you also focus on the business. And that's everything from your supply chains, your distribution, your legals. For example, it took us 21 insurance companies to gain insurance for a children's social media platform. And we ended up settling with a company over in the United States. That follows on to my second point, which is around sometimes you don't get to start with your most innovative idea. So a wearable for kids, yeah, a lot of people kind of knock that off as like, yeah, I've seen that before. It's definitely not our most novel and exciting invention to come yet, but it's definitely the first piece of the puzzle. And streaming through blogs online, it became very obvious that the industry was really craving, a lot of families were craving a high quality wearable for kids. Kids today are born digital natives, but for some reason we keep handing them dumbed down versions of technology. So we've spent the last 12 months really setting up a business, both from a legal, accounting, and team standpoint, to be in a position where now we can start commercializing really novel innovation in and around different forms of IoT and interconnecting different forms of target markets into the platform play at present. And lastly, start selling yesterday. So this entire process has been done with families, collaborating with families. On Tuesday, we were really lucky. SBS came into our office. They're filming a short documentary on our growth over the last 12 months. And we hung out with one of our families where the kids are on the top of our leaderboards. They've been on our platform for over 6 months and counting. Which is a very rare retention rate for a very new children's technology company. But we wouldn't be there if we didn't spend a lot of time specifically looking at user-centered design and understanding exactly what our target market was prepared to pay for. And so we started selling on day one when we launched into market in December last year. And then finally, just go get them and back yourself. You know, we get advice from lots of different people all the time, but in the end, when you're running your startup, you're the only person who has that bird's eye view over everybody's information, and you're the person who's making those decisions. So one cool example is, at first we had some people say to us, give all your eTurbos away for free. And then you're going to have lots of users in your platform, and you're going to be able to use that data to be able to improve your mobile app. But the problem is that if we gave all the eTurbos away for free, we wouldn't actually have the users who are willing to pay for the eTurbo on our platform, so we'd be optimizing a platform for the wrong target market. So it's really important to accept all of those ideas, but back yourself and believe in yourself and the business that you're building, because in the end, if it's the right business for your customers, they're going to empower you to keep growing, and that's what we're doing. So thank you for your time.
All right, so Katherine's just going to join me quickly on stage here for a quick chat. I have a couple of questions for her. I promise I haven't told her what these questions are beforehand. If anybody wants to throw one out from the audience, you're more than welcome to. So congratulations on a fantastic year, Katherine. If you had to do that time over again, what would you do differently?
I think I would back myself even more from day one. The kids industry, everyone has an opinion on the kids industry because everyone's either been a child or a lot of people have a child. I don't have a child, but I've been trained in user-centered design. I've invented platforms for mechanics and adults. I lived in Denmark for 5 years, taught myself Danish, worked with the engineers over there in Bang & Olufsen. So it's really to back yourself in your research. You can take anecdotal data, and that's really helpful in building mostly some of your marketing messages, but more importantly, we've seen the patterns, and yeah, we had a lot of people who were like, how could 2 women build an app for kids? Retention for kids apps is, so impossible to attain. We had a lot of that. But we knew what we were doing. We knew how we were building it, and I think we would have just, backed ourselves even more even earlier on.
And from those points where how you've learnt to kind of grow the business, you talked about, I'm building a business, not just a product. How have you worked out what's important to measure and what not to measure? Based on where you started a year ago, you thought, okay, these are the things that are indicators around how the growth of my business is performing. Mm-hmm. And what have you learned? It's like, okay, I don't need to measure that now. I actually need to be focused here.
Yeah. Our core metric was retention inside the app and the time at which a child was engaging inside the app, because our UX is designed to make sure that the child puts down the app and goes back outside and plays, unlike the majority of every other app that they ever engage with online. So it was really important. We were driving all of the algorithms via World Health Standards so that children would never play inside our app over 15 minutes, but they would still engage with the platform at least on a daily to weekly basis, because we're inspiring them with new content which teaches them new skills, that gets them back out into the real world. So we were laser focused on that. What was challenging was that you would meet investors who were like, you need to be selling more hardware, we want to see much greater sales, but we haven't invested any money into marketing to date because we weren't interested in sort of like smashing hardware sales. We were really interested in getting the core premise of the product right first, because we knew once that was right, that was very valuable. And we also just, from an ethical standpoint, wanted to make sure we were getting it right for kids. At which point now, as we raise our Series A, we're in a confident position to now scale it both across Australia and the United States.
So if the just sell more hardware was kind of a bad set of advice, what's some good advice that you've received over the last year, and how has that helped you grow your business?
I'm learning to ask better questions of our investors and everybody that I meet. So they used to call me a bit of a nuclear weapon. I'd kind of walk into the room and we have like Excel graphs of all of the epidemics in terms of childhood obesity, digital addiction, depression, anxiety, and I could go through all of them. I was like, we really have to focus on this. This is a really big issue. And then I realized that different people have different backgrounds, and they're looking at your project or your business from different perspectives. So it's more important to ask what they're interested in understanding more about. Some people, it's about our play patterns. Some people, it's about our finances or our retention. Other people, it's about our partnership deals. So just having a little bit more patience around better understanding what they need from the conversation in the short period of time you usually have with people.
We have a question from the audience.
Firstly, just well done. I think you've achieved what a lot of people sitting here hoping to achieve in their careers. So it's, yeah, well done. I think one thing that impresses me is that you've not just made the app, you've made the hardware as well. And you mentioned you were a mechanical engineer by trade, but you had some industrial design experience. Talking to a lot of people at the conference here, it's a mystery kind of how you get from a development board, a connected IoT board, to a product you can put on your wrist. Mm-hmm. Would you be able to just talk us through what that process looked like and who you engage with for help?
Yeah, so I will just clarify, I didn't finish mechanical engineering. I actually transferred to industrial design and then moved to Denmark to learn engineering and design in Aalborg. Australia counts it as an industrial design degree, but whatever, I love maths and science. I also love design. We went to China, we vetted 15 different manufacturing plants. A lot of the elements of our eTurbo are white label. So we didn't try to reinvent the wheel there, because I've seen a lot how long it takes to go to market with a completely new piece of hardware from day dot. But what we did was customize different elements and pulled them together to create a product that suited the child's demographic. So for example, eliminating calorie counting, or the fact that there's no cables, so you just have a USB charger. Things like that were really important, but in saying that, now we're in a much stronger position to start integrating bits of IoT that are not mass marketly available, because, for example, Rebel Sport has our trust. We have a high quality device, the return rate is almost less than 1%. And so now that we're in that position, we're in a stronger position to start working through some of that novel IP. The other challenge is that it's true, a lot of investors today say hardware is hard. And so they kind of they move you away from that sometimes. But I lived in Denmark for 5 years and watched companies like Lego, Maersk, the largest shipping company in the world, Bang & Olufsen, George Jensen, whom all have a hardware component Hardware is around us, it's everywhere. So some people do it really well, and some people don't. And if you're one of those people who does it really well, then stick to it. And so, yeah.
Thanks for that. I think just one sort of final question here. You've just been on a bit of a trip around the US a couple of times, been over for investor meetings and also TechCrunch. What did you learn on that trip, and how do you see it differentiating between what's happening over there and what's happening here in the kind of IoT startup space, in particular around your ability to fund yourselves and your ability to grow your business?
The US, the problem worth solving was people were really jumping on the solution. Over there, 1 in 3 kids is obese, 1 in 10 has digital addiction problems, and then just genuinely families were very much more open to discussing the problem that they were having inside their family unit at the moment. So that meant that, for example, we've already been offered a national partnership, distribution partnership opportunity with a kids tablet brand that specialises in education but not wellness. So it's a beautiful brand collaboration between both of us. But they already have the partnerships with the Walmarts and the Targets, etc. over there. So that was really exciting, that people were just ready to do business from day one. We weren't kind of knocking on as many people's doors. What was also interesting was that I was invited to speak at the Kid Tech Conference in San Mateo, and my business partner, she was the original Dorothy in the Wiggles, and has had 20 years in children's products and entertainment. So worked on the likes of Bananas in Pajamas, SpongeBob SquarePants. So she understands very deeply the traditional ways that people invent toys or products in the kids industry, whereas I have a very new perspective on that. And it was quite kind of them to invite us up on stage, even though we are still a 1.5-year-old company, to explain some of our design processes, so that we could share that with the industry so that the whole industry can grow. And that was, a fantastic opportunity. We don't talk a lot about the kids tech industry in Australia. It seems to be hidden behind black curtains a lot, but I feel like we have some amazing scientists and engineers here, and we definitely are building the company here. So we're very excited to build the company from Australia, but then export the products globally.
Great. Thank you very much, Katherine Marie Pace from Elanation. Thank you.